guys, so I am about to start making another shield, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to make a wee video showing some of the new guys the process of making a shield, some of the things to consider, and just some general tips and advice. So the first thing to consider when making a shield is what size is right for you. When you're looking at size, what you're trying to consider is protecting your target, your main target zones, which for us is thighs, torso, shoulder. Your head you're going to protect with your weapon. So therefore, to get the right size for yourself, you're looking to get into your fighting stance, and you want to measure the distance from the top of your kneecap to your shoulder, just parallel to your shoulder. Like I said, first one I made was a 90, and I made this one, it was actually too large. So as you can see, this one goes over top of my shoulder. So the next one I made then was slightly smaller. This is an 85, and this is the sort of perfect size for a line fight. Still maybe slightly big, but I've got a little bit more reason for that. So from the top of the kneecap to the top of the shoulder, this one just goes slightly over by a couple of centimetres. This is a perfect size for me. I can still see, I can fight over it. The other thing is when I'm in a line, I can give a little bit of it. I'm still protected, but it means I can give a little bit of protection to a spearman or a Danax guy as well. The one we're going to make in this video is slightly smaller. This is going to be for 1-on-1s, 2-on-2s. So I'm looking this one to be a lot more mobile. So in my fighting stance, you can see this one falls short of my shoulder, but this is going to be for mobility. Another thing to consider is what type of wood. So two main types of construction available is doing a planked shield, where you literally have your planks and get them put together and chamois down, etc. I haven't tried that yet. Adam has, so if you want to get a bit of advice on it, you can speak to him. But as a new guy, or for your first shield or two, I would advise using plywood. The first two shields I made were using an 8mm plywood, and these shields are both coming up on 4 years old, and they've withstood quite a bit of Eastern. This one is more damaged than the other one, and I have a theory on that, which I'll get into later on in the video. However, for this shield, we're going to try a 6mm birch plywood. So it's a lot lighter wood. It's also thinner on this one, and that is to again add a lot more mobility and decrease the weight. One of the other things to consider then, we pick our wood, we want to pick our shield boss. So all three of my shield bosses are Scandinavian style. We also have available to us Irish C types A and B, and Dublin shield bosses. This is a Scandinavian style shield boss, and this particular one is hammered and blackened. You can see same with that one. This one wasn't blackened, and as you can see, it just rusts like there's no tomorrow. So I definitely prefer the blackened. This would have been done with beeswax at the time in the forging process. The other type is an Irish C type, which I don't have here, but Adam, again, he carries the Irish C type boss, so it's worth having a look at it. I just prefer this Scandinavian style because it's wider. It gives me a lot more room for my shield glove and for mobility whenever I'm fighting, because you want lots of room in there, remembering you're going to be wearing a glove as well. The next thing we need to consider is something for the handle. So I go with a bit of wood the whole way from top to bottom, because I think it gives me a lot more stability and just adds a bit of strength and gives me something to punch with. You can go a lot shorter than that, and also you're not limited to wood. There is a find in Dublin of an iron hollow bar, short, just about that sort of size, which is used as a shield handle. So there's other options out there. I prefer to get a bit of wood and I literally shape it down to how I want it and get the handle all shaped, etc. I'm going to take us through doing that one. Some of the other things we need then, we're going to need linen to back our shield. So we'll need a lot of linen. We need rope because we'll edge the line of the shield. So this will quite literally sit on the edge and go round, and it acts as a cushion for blows coming in. We are going to need hand forged nails. So this is going to secure our boss and secure our handle, and artificial sinew. So the artificial sinew is going to tie the rim to the shield. We are going to need rawhide. Now I'm waiting on an order coming in, so I can't show you in normal form. There's two types of rawhide that we can get. This is pre-cut rawhide edging, which gives it that nice straight look, and we're going to be using that style. If you can't get a hold of that butt, you can do it in this style, which is quite literally made out of dog chews, the rawhide dog chews, and does the same job, just a bit more work in cutting it, etc. Some of the other things we're going to need then, just in terms of tools, etc. You need some good sealing needles for putting your sinew through your board. You are going to need lots of wood glue, because this is how we're going to bond the linen to the shield. Lots and lots and lots of crocodile clips are going to come in handy, both for putting your linen on and then also for your rawhide, because you're going to put it on wet and then it's going to start to move as it dries. So before we get into the process of starting to make the shield, I just want to touch on something I spoke about earlier. We are going to back the shield with linen. This gives it a good bit of strength and protection, and we can actually weather it as well so that the water doesn't get into the wood. One of my theories on why this shield is warped and took a lot more damage, I don't know if you can see that warpage in that, but one of my theories is I put 2 layers of linen on the front but nothing on the back. I went for a nice fancy planked design that I etched into it, and the shield is actually warped towards the linen side, and I have a funny notion that that's something to do with the board getting wet and the strength being on this side and it pulling in. Remembering that this shield is the exact same age, this is 2 layers of linen on the front and 1 layer of linen on the back, and this shield hasn't warped. It's kept a very, very good straight edge. Also, another consideration behind it is when a spear or a Dane axe comes through, as you can see on this shield, it's taken quite a few considerable spear hits and Dane axe hits that have come through and splintered the shield and weakened it. When you back your shield with linen, this one has taken the same damage. It's had spears come through, but the linen seems to help hold it together and not take as much damage. So when you're ordering your linen or you're looking at linen for it, I would advise getting enough that you can back your shield on the front with 2 layers and a layer on the back, and we're going to be doing the same with this shield. So this shield is already pre-cut, and the easiest way of doing that is literally get your board, put a screw in it, and get a bit of string to the length, to the radius that you want it to be. So obviously the radius being half the circumference of that measurement from your knee to your shoulder. Tie it to the screw and go round and draw out your circle, and then with a jigsaw cut out your circle. So that's the stage we're at already. I've got that bit out of the way. The next thing we want to do is get our shield boss, and we want to measure the inside of it to figure out where we're going to cut for the hole. So we're wanting to measure that bit from here to here, because this is the bit that we're going to cut out. You want to make sure you leave that bit on your shield so that it's got something to bond to. So I've already done that. Again, just measured it, marked it out, marked the outside of the boss as well, just to make sure I am in the center and that I'm not cutting out something by accident that I shouldn't cut out. So what we're going to do now is get this bit cut out for the center before we begin. So we've cut out the hole for our shield boss. We gave it a sand just to take any rough edges and all away from it, and all these sharp bits, just bearing in mind your hand's going to be in here. The next step we're going to do is lining the edge of the shield with the rope. So this acts as a cushion for the impact before it hits the shield. So it's going to have rawhide and rope protection for the edge to stop it from cracking, splintering, etc. So I've already cut out more than the length that I need to go around the circumference of the shield. I've taped it just in place on the one wee spot, and what we're going to do is we're going to get our wood glue and quite literally go around the edge and attach it once. Once we've done that, we're then going to let it dry in place. We're going to do literally cover it in more wood glue just to give it a bit more strength, and it'll give it a bit more impact cushion. What we need to do now is make sure the face of the board is clean, there's no bits of debris sitting on it, because when we put our linen on it, it's going to show through, you'll feel it. So just make sure to give it a good rub down, make sure there's nothing sitting on it that shouldn't be. And we're now good to start getting the first linen on one of the sides. So you would get your linen beforehand and you'll cut it to shape, and you want to cut it just slightly bigger. So I've done this one just to give an example. The idea is we're going to put the wood glue all over the face of the board, give it a good spread out, stick this on, and then we're going to start pulling it and stretching it and wrapping it just around the edge a little bit, and we'll get the crocodile clips and get it all clipped into place. And we're also going to deal with the center as well. And there we go. That is the first layer on, and we'll just let it dry on now and see how it goes. You want to let it have a really good dry. So this wood glue is 2 hours before it sets, but 8 hours before it's cured. So we'll give it a good day and come back tomorrow. So our shield is dried overnight and dried very well, good and solid, no raised spots, edges are good and solid. So all we're going to do now is literally flip it over and do the exact same thing on the other side. Right, so our other side linen covering is now dried, and we're going to put the final covering on now. So one side's going to have 1 layer of linen, the second side is going to have 2 layers of linen, and that's going to be our front because that's going to take the most damage. Now, the most important thing when putting on your second layer of linen is to consider the line that your linen runs. So you'll see that you have straight lines running towards the camera and you have horizontal lines running parallel to the camera, and that's your weft. What we want to do to give it the best sort of strength when we're putting on our second sheet is line that up on the second sheet and figure out where that is, and then we're wanting to turn that round so that it's angled. So what we're doing is essentially, rather than giving it strength this way and this way with the first layer, we're now adding this way and this way as well. So that'll give it the most strength that it can. So we'll get stuck into this one. So board's dry, now we're on to painting, and to do our specific design, the way that we figure out where each mark goes and how to paint it is this. First thing you gotta do is get a tape measure and measure the diameter of the center hole. Once you have this diameter, you can then use a calculator or use Google to figure out the circumference, which is the measurement of this circle. Once you know the length of that circle, you can divide that by 8, and that measurement then you use to cut out a piece of cord to that length. That then will let you place it on the circle, put your finger to it and go round and mark off the 2 edges of where that is. Then move it to the next bit, place it on your last mark, push it up against and mark off the next edge. That gives you the main points. Once you've got the inside marked, get a straight edge, and it can be anything, and place it along the 2 of the marks, 2 of the opposite marks, and from there mark off at the very edge of your shield. So again, just find your marks and mark off at the edges of the shield. So I've already done this. Then you're looking to get a curve on it. Get some sort of circle. Sometimes you can use the cut-off arc from cutting out your shield. You can use the arc of it, or just anything that is a circle. You can do this freehand as well, but just a bit better to know that you're equal every single time. The paint on our shield is dried. I've done 2 coats in the front and 2 coats on the back as well. So now we're ready to do the rawhide edging on our shield. The rawhide order turned up. So this is what I'm talking about when you can buy it in rolls. These are just over 1 meter in length and they're pre-cut, which gives just a nice clean edge to it. It's a lot quicker and easier than soaking dog chews and then trying to cut them to shape. So what we want to do with this is take the rubber band off and fully submerge it in water, just like this. And we want to leave them to soak for a while until they're really pliable, until you can really shape them. Because the idea is we are going to fold them around the edge of our shield, clamp them in place with crocodile clips, get a drill through them and the shield, and then sew them in place with a sinew while they're still damp and before they dry out and constrict. So that's the plan. So we have our first roll of rawhide on. We've put it in place, clamped it, drilled in between each clamp, then rotated our clamps round a slight bit to cover the hole that was drilled, and drilled another hole in between each clamp. So now we're going to use our 2 sealing needles and an artificial sinew, and we're going to sew the rawhide in while it's still damp. So we're going to get really good length of this. And we're going to put each end of the thread through the eye of the sealing needle, pull it, and then go through it at a point, and pull again, and that'll secure that in without actually having to put a knot in it. We're going to do the same for the other end. Try to make sure you don't tangle it. So again, we're going to put our sinew through the eye of the needle, pull it a bit, and put the tip of our needle through the sinew, pull, and there we go. Now, we're going to get both needles, one in each hand, and we're going to take this clamp off and go through the first hole. And keep pulling that through until your needles both level out. Go to the next hole, and we're going to put this needle through this way, pull it all the way, get your second needle that comes out on the blank side of the shield and put it through the exact same hole. Pull all the way. Nice and tight. Remove the next clamp. Move to the next hole. Pull it through. And on the reverse side, same again with the other needle. And we're going to do this the whole way around. So just an important point to stop. Everything I've always made has always resulted in blood at some point. So I call this the blood offering. So there we go. The shield has its first blood offering. We finished the rawhide edge on our shield and now we're ready to make a handle. As I said before, a lot of this is personal preference. I like mine to run the length of the shield, just coming short by a centimetre or so of the rawhide either side. So I've measured mine and that gives me a piece of wood this length. What we need to then do is figure out where the middle is, figure out where the boss ends, all sorts of different wee bits and pieces. So I've already done some of the measuring on mine. And as you can see, this is the middle point. So I've picked a handle length that fits my handle. Also, it's quite important to measure it versus your Shield Boss, so I know I'll have lots of room in there. Then I figured out where I want my supporting nails to go. So this is going to be a supporting nail, and this is going to be a supporting nail, and you'll also have a nail laying through here, which is where the Shield Boss attaches through. And I'm also going to be adding a carry strap to this, so I've also marked off where I want that on each side to go through. And then the rest of this is down to personal preference, you know, what designs you put into it. So I'm going to do probably a little bit more work on this, but you can go as plain or as extravagant as you want. It's all up to you. I'm going to be using rasps and Dremel to make this all good, so I'll get cracking. And there we go, handle all ready, and now we can attach it and our boss to our shield. So now we're able to put these final pieces together. I've already pre-drilled the holes for the handle based on the holes that I made in the drawing. I've got the Shield Boss ready, and we're going to start attaching this. So we're going to attach this using hand forged nails. It's the most accurate way of doing it, and to finish it you could either pin it, or what I'm trying to do is just bend it over and catch it back into the wood. So we'll start with the boss and then we'll move on to the other ones, but first of all we're just going to get these put through just to put them in place. Really important point to note is I'm using breeze blocks to hammer against because you need something solid, and I'm making sure that the heads of the nails are sitting on the breeze block so they're not going to shift any. Before we bend the nail over and into the wood, we need to bend the tip in so that it digs into the wood. So to do that, we get some pliers and we just manually bend it. Give it a wee twist as you go. Make sure everything's secure, and then we're going to start hammering this round. We're going to put lots of pressure on this because you're going to be hammering it towards you.
I just moved the bed one.
So now we'll repeat the process with these 4 nails. Last thing to do is drill the holes for the final 4 nails of the shield boss. And then we're doing the same drills. We'll get them in and through. And then we want to again bend, twist and bring these away from the shield boss to make the shield boss nice and tight. There we go, shield is all done, handle and boss are nicely secured and ready just to do touch-ups and attach a strap. So there we go, project's finished.